29th of December, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos.
Morning. Good morning, Barry. Good morning.
Morning, Rabbi. Meir is having computer trouble. He should be coming back in a second.
Okay, very good. Okay, in the meantime, I want to send out something, a new, it's part of the Rabosh we've been doing. It's another tshuva, which is a little more succinct in what we've been learning. I'm going to try and send it out. Let me see if I can get the mail program to open up here. How's everyone doing today?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Going well.
Fine. Okay. Okay, I hope I can get this over here. I think. Okay. Sure. No, sure. Go ahead. Thank you.
Morning, Aaron. The rabbi's checking something out. We should be starting soon.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Super. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can attach this file for you. Okay, I think, okay, it should be coming in if you look at your you look at your mail programs, it should be coming in forthrightly. Let me see if I can open it up. And this is going to be a very succinct.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. Oh, okay. This is okay. I get, well, that's the second part. I got to send you the first part also. Hold on a second here.
Okay, I got that second part printed.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to resend another one. See, the second one's coming in now in a moment. That's the first one you need to see, and then we'll get to that. This tshuva, let me explain it to you. This tshuva from Rav Moshe is dealing with a person if he's in the middle of Kriya Shema. Okay, he's in the middle of Kriya Shema, and he hears Birkas Kohanim. Shall he stop to say Amen to the Birkas of the Kohanim or not?
Okay.
And it's very succinct in the expression of what we've been learning, and that I think it'll help us when we go back and learn this, which is more detailed, so you have a more clearer understanding of the Ramosha. That's Birkas Kohanim. Okay, so I sent you first Birkas Kohanim number 3, but I'm now sending you 2. Should be coming in any moment. Bez Hashem. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I see it.
Got it? Okay. Very good. I'm going to put it on the screen as well, so in case if there's some then you'll be able to see it.
This situation is where a Kohen is in the middle of Shemon Esrei when they're starting to duchen.
No, when a Yisrael, you're in the middle of your Shema.
Yeah.
Okay, now they're toning when they're going to give the duchening, they're going to duchen, right? So the question is, do you stop to say amen to the brachas of the Kohanim, right? Now, normally when a person's in the middle of Shema, right? That the Emsa Perik, the psak is you're not supposed to say amen to a bracha, okay? In the middle of if you're bein a prochim between the paragraphs of Shema, so in general you can say amen to a bracha. But if you're in the middle of the psukim of the different paragraphs, 3 paragraphs of the Shema, right, it's usually asur. So if Moshe is dealing with the question as to whether or not you can answer amen to the brachas of the Kohanim in the middle of your Shema. Okay, and also the question is whether if you're obligated to or not. That's a corollary to that.
And that's not Bein Parachim, right?
No, it's Be'emsa Perik.
Uh-huh.
He's dealing with a more serious question of Be'emsa Perik.
Is that referring to Shema?
Yeah, in the 3 paragraphs of Shema, correct. Okay. You see it there? You have the Igros Moshe. This is an Or Chaim Chelik Dalet Siman Chaf Aleph. Okay. Okay. Any volunteers to read?
I do.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Lou. Go ahead.
Okay, so Bevesa Knesset, Shekula Kohanim, V'yesh Sham Yoter Ma'asra.
Ma'asara from 10.
But excuse me, I didn't you just read that it was a minion of Kahanim?
Yeah, so base Knesset Kulo Kohanim, right?
But I thought Rebbe said if it was a Yisrael was davening.
Well, the halacha that Rav Moshe is starting with is the halacha, which is the standard halacha, which you have a Beit Knesset of Asari Kohanim, because he wants to go to the essence of what the bracha and the essence of what the amen is to that bracha. And then he's going to apply that to a case, right? In a normal case where you're in a normal minyan and you have a normal duchening, and the question is then, once we've learned what the essence of the bracha of the Kohanim is and what the essence of the amen is to that bracha, then we'll be able to apply it to the standard case. Okay.
So we've got a minion of Kohanim, and there's more than 10 Kohanim.
Right.
Leduchan, to duchen, rak hayisarim ma'asra me eser ve'eser ve'esra.
Right. Okay, so it says when you have a base Knesset Kulo Kohanim, which is completely made of Kohanim, and Yesham Asara, Yosemin Asara, but you have more than 10. So Olein Leduchen Rak Ayiser Masara. The ones that go up to Duchen are only the ones that are extra from the 10. Right? And then you should put a comma there, right? And then Vasara Nishru, and the 10 remaining.
Remaining.
Right, nisharu, right. Vasar nisharu, and the 10 remaining that did not go up to duchen,
La'anot amen. They answer amen.
they're the ones who answer amen.
Ve'im inais.
The asara nisharu laonius amen, right? And those that are remaining, right? They answer amen. So again, just to review the case. Okay, so we're talking about the base Knesset is full of Kohanim. There's only Kohanim there. That's what the Mechaber that we're learning in the Kuf Chav Ches is dealing with also. A case where there are 10 and only 10 Kohanim there. And then there's another case where there are more than 10, but in both cases it's completely Kohanim. There are no Yisraelim, no Levim in the Beit Knesset. So in this case where you have more than 10, let's say you have, for example, 14 Kohanim, right? So the remainder that's more than 10, let's say the 4 extra Kohanim, they go up to Duchen, and the Yisara, the 10 stay down below, and they are the ones that answer amen. The 10 stay down and they answer amen, 4 go up and Duchen, and you have the now. So now this is Rav Moshe's point over here. Okay, go ahead, Lou.
Okay, so well, what was this word? Ayin nun yud yud suf.
That's Anias from Ana is to like this. La Ana we had in the second word from the first line. La Anos amen, to answer amen. So now Rav Moshe says V'im Anias amen. If the answering of amen ain't a shayches the mitzvah, it's not relevant to the mitzvah.
I see. If the answering of amen is not relevant to the mitzvah,
that's Daled Nun Chav. That's the mitzvah Nesiyas Kapayim, to the mitzvah of the duchening of the Kohanim.
The mitzvah of the duchening, Eich Yivatlu Ha'asara Kohanim. How does it nullify the 10 Kohanim?
Finish the thought. Es mitzvasan, right?
Et mitzvasan.
Right. Stop. Comma. Right. Eich yizbatlu asar kohanim es mitzvasan. And if the amen is not relevant to the mitzvah of Nesiyas Kapayim, how can you nullify 10 Kohanim from doing their mitzvah? Because you're telling 4 Kohanim to go up in Duchen, 10 Kohanim will stay down and answer amen to the brachas of the other 4. So how can you, Nesiyas Kapayim is a mitzvah deraisa for the Kohanim. It's also, we'll see, it'll be proven another time, we've seen this before, that it's a mitzvah saseh for the Israelim as well. And because the Aniyas Amen, that's what the point of Rav Moshe is going to be. The answering of the main to the Berachas Kohanim is a mitzvah, is a deraisa. So if it wouldn't be, you couldn't tell 10 Kohanim not to duchen. You can't tell a person not to do a mitzvah. Person has a mitzvah deraisa. You can't tell a person not to do a mitzvah deraisa.
How do you know which one's more important?
What, the duchening itself, or they're answering on the amen?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Who's going to be the 4 to go up and the 10 to remain down? That I have no way of I have no clue of telling you how and who is going to be the ones to pick to do the duchening actually and do what's more important. I don't know. In this Shuvas Rav Moshe, I don't have a clue as to which one is actually more important. Obviously, they're both part of the mitzvah. You need both of them. We're going to see, however, that the answering amen, but Moshe is going to come to the conclusion it's not ma'akev b'di'evet. So to a certain extent, the actual duchening is going to be more important than the amen. But at least in litkatchila, right? we're telling 10 Kohanim not to duchen and only answer amen to the bracha. So that's the question that Rav Moshe is posing here. If it wouldn't be that the amen is relevant and almost, I'll put in, add an addition on my own, equally relevant to the actual duchening, you wouldn't be able to tell 10 Kohanim not to duchen.
Well, I would think that they're equally important. You need both, right? You need people to duchen and you need people to say amen.
Right. At this point, correct. At this point, it's seeming as if they're equally important. Correct.
Okay, so the point is that if you're going to say that the saying of amen is not required, then you have a problem because there's 10 people, 10 Kohanim who are losing out on the mitzvah.
Correct. That's right.
Shehayu mekayamin gam kishi alu kulam leduchan. So that it is established also.
Well, here we want to say mekayim is they fulfill. That they shayu mekayim, they also fulfill.
Okay, so that that they fulfill also when they go up, kishi alu.
Yeah, kisha alu kulam, right? Go to the next line. Kisha alu
when all of them go up, the duchen.
V'yevarchu la'achechem shebesodos.
V'yevarchu la'achechem shebesodos. When the others bless, when they bless the farmers in the field.
Right. Basically, what Moshe is saying here is that let all 14 kohanim go up. No one will answer amen, and the bracha will be sent over to those brethren, right, in the fields. And therefore, all the 14 total kohanim can fulfill their mitzvah of duchening, right, giving the bracha, and the people in the fields will be the recipients of that bracha, and there'll be no answering amen. But we see that's not the halacha. The halacha is that's not what you do. The halacha is you split them up, 4 go up to duchen, and the rest of the 10 remaining, they answer amen. Right? So therefore it comes to the conclusion, Ella, therefore,
Hava mipnei she'ha'amen gam kain chelek ha'mitzvah meha mitzvah.
Meha mitzvah, right.
So rather it is because of the amen, also they get a portion in the mitzvah.
It's a component, it's part of the mitzvah. You have to say, since you're splitting up the kohanim, you must say that the amen must be a part of the mitzvah itself as well.
Okay, but I'm questioning why it mentions the farmers in the field. We're talking here about the amen. What is the amen is necessary.
Right.
So leave out the farmers in the field. It's irrelevant. It's just a matter of if the amen is not a mitzvah, then let all 14 get up and nobody says amen. What do I care about the farmers for this issue?
Well, so you have 2 issues here. You have one that there's not going to be anyone to say amen, number 1. And you have the other issue that in order to do that, you're willing to sacrifice 10 kohanim from their mitzvah of duchening, right? So now, in order to, the next paragraph is going to touch on your issue.
Korban and the
The other one?
It says, Af, go to the next paragraph. Af kishaleka. Now let's say a different case. Let's say you only have 10. Up until now, we're talking that you have 14. So you have 4 go up and 10 remain and say amen. But let's say you only have exactly 10,
Yes.
right? So what are you supposed to do then?
V'af ke leka ella yud. And even if there is only 10, shekulan olin leduchan, such that all of them go up in duchen, sheyaol shevaol.
The oil be Yerushalmi. The question's asked in the Talmud Yerushalmi.
Oh, it's asked. It's asked be Yerushalme on Daf Pei Hey.
That's in the Yerushalmi. There's not really adopting. There in the new editions they have adopting like they have in the Babli, but usually the Yerushalmi is usually broken down into prakim and halachas. So this is Yerushalmi Pierke Mibrachas in the Gemara in the Yerushalmi and Brachas halacha dalid. Hey dalid halacha dalid. So it's Pierke halacha dalid.
I see. So it's asked in the Yerushalmi in Perek Hey of Brachas halacha dalid umi oneh acharehen. And who answers after them? Amen.
So that's right. So that's the Gemara. That's the Yerushalmi's question. When you have exactly 10 konim, so all 10 konim are going to go up to Dukan. So the Yerushalmi asks, well, okay, that's very nice, but who's going to be answering amen to these 10 konim giving the bracha?
Okay, so that.
But you also still have that same problem with the people in the field, because they're not going to answer amen either.
Okay, good. Hold on.
So, I mean, so if he's saying that there's a problem about answering amen, so what about people in the field? They're up in the trees picking grapes or whatever.
Okay, so one case is more litkatila and one case is b'diavad. If there's no one in shul except the kohanim, right? Because the Yerushalmi is going to answer Mishani and Nashim Batat. Who's going to answer amen to the bracha of the kohanim? The women and the children in shul, right? And now after that, we'll see in a moment. Give him a chance to read. We'll see what he quotes to Mr. Brewer. In your case, Barry, he's going to quote to Mr. Brewer.
But there's 2 points we have to understand here. One is that because of this question, we have an implication that amen is necessary.
Exactly. That is exactly the point that Rav Moshe is mentioning. If you take a hard, clear look at the question of the Gemara in Yerushalmi, the Gemara is asking that question because it's obviously in the question, understanding that the amen is crucial, right? The amen is critical.
Right. And the second point of clarification is that you don't climb up trees to pick grapes. Grapes grow on vines.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
whatever they're doing, the point I'm making is they're busy with their job.
Right. They're
That's
unaware.
the
First,
main
not
point,
only that, Barry, they're unaware. They're completely unaware of the bracha being given to them. Okay.
Exactly. That's the problem. If they're making an issue about the women, if they're making an issue about women and children having to be there, then you have to address what the main purpose of the Kohanim's bracha is: the people in the field.
Right. So that's a separate question. What benefit do we gain by saying that people in the field will be the recipients of the bracha? First of all, they don't know they're getting the bracha unless they happen to have accurate sundials, right? If they have accurate sundials, wrist sundials, so they'll be able to coordinate their working in the fields with the timing of the minyan back there in the city.
Right.
And also, they're not going to be able to answer amen, even if they knew when the Kohanim would give you the bracha, and they could mechaven to the bracha at the time when they're working, but they'll never be able to answer amen because they'll never hear it. So we see that the Yerushalmi is a proof that the amen is crucial to the bracha of the Kohanim. And that's the halakha l'maisa. You take a look there. This is the mechaber in the Shulchan Aruch and Kuf Chav Ches that we learned, right? And that was almost a straight quote from the Yerushalmi. The mechaber brought down. He quoted, "You have only 10 Kohanim, so they go up to Duchen." And the Gemara and the mechaber brought the question: so who's going to get the bracha, right? And he said the people in the Sodas. And who's going to answer amen? Said the women and the children. That's what he means here. The Moshe says, lidina. That's the psak halacha. Now here's the Mr. Brewer, Barry, that you're concerned with. Mr. Brewer.
Where are you?
In the middle of the second line in that second paragraph.
The Af Shemishna Brura, Siman Kuf.
That's Sifkatan Tzadi Tes.
Sifkatan Tzadi Tes. Kisav De'im Leka Sham Nashim. So in the Mishnah Brura, it says that if there aren't any women, ukatanim and children, nami noshin kapehem mishum danais amen.
The Anias amen.
The Anias amen. So there's no women and children.
Finish the sentence. It's better if you finish the thought, and then you can translate the whole thought together.
Eino me'akev es habracha. So if there are no women and children, then also, what is this word noshin?
No, that's nosim kapayan. They're from the same way. It's a plural of nasias kapayim. That they also literally lift up their arm. They lift up their hands. When Meir, like when you're duchening, like you're lifting up your hands. That's why it's called nasias kapayim.
I see. So if there's no women and children, also they duchen, because that there will be an answer of amen, because the answer of amen is not required for the bracha.
Right. It's not crucial. It's not crucial. Critical. It's not critical for the bracha. So this is
It's not critical. It's not critical for the recipient to say amen.
It's not critical for the chiyuv, the obligation to do the birkas kohanim. Meaning, if it would be critical, for example, if you want to make a bracha on an apple, right?
Yeah.
You've got to have an apple, correct? Yeah. You want to make a bracha for eights.
Right.
You've got to have an apple. If you've got no apples, you can't make any bracha for eights, right?
Yeah.
That apple is critical to your bracha. So do we say the same thing by birkas kohanim when the kohanim want to give a bracha, right, to the Yisraelim? Is it necessary, right, that they be Yisraelim over there? Is it necessary that people answer amen? You never have a bracha, right, that's required, that the answering of amen is necessary, crucial, and critical to the saying of that bracha, except in this particular case. But now, Moshe is now saying, even though that the Mishnah Berurah paskins, that when there are no women and no children there, and therefore the only people in the shul are 10 kohanim, and they're directing their bracha to the people in the fields, and there's nobody to answer amen. The Yerushalmi asks, who's going to answer amen? So you should know, Rav Moshe is saying that the answering amen is not crucial, not critical to the saying of that bracha. But nevertheless, that's why if you look at the expression here, Moshe in that middle of that second paragraph says v'af, right? So v'af, and now look at the first two words of that beginning of the third paragraph. It says mikol makom, right? So this is a corollary expression. Va'af and mikol makom. Va'af, I'm raising a question. V'af, I'm raising a question that you have no women and children, and therefore how in the world can they duchen? I'll tell you that it's not crucial. But even though it's not crucial, mikol makom, even though it's not crucial, mikol makom, start going to the next paragraph.
Even though it's not crucial, nevertheless, chazinan de amar hu shayich likayom hamitzvah.
Okay.
So nevertheless, that it is that chazinan is that a repeating?
No, chazin is that would be with a resh. Chazinin we see. Nevertheless, chazinin we see.
We see that that he said.
No, that's the amen. The amen. Chazinin the amen.
That the amen is significant.
Relevant, yeah, shaykh, relevant.
Is the amen is relevant to the fulfilling of the mitzvah.
Very good, right. See, even though that you don't need, I mean, it's not critical that you have people there to say amen to the bracha, but nevertheless, we do see that it is a component. Litkatchila, we'll see about the litkatchila. It's a component involved with the mitzvah itself.
Ule kaschala. V'litkatchila. And ideally, tzarich vadai lehishtadel shehiyu onim amen. And ideally, it is necessary. It is certainly necessary. What is hishtadel?
To endeavor. You should put forth efforts. You should endeavor.
To endeavor that it should be that there should be an answer of amen.
Right. So Barry. So let's say you're one of these 10 kohanim in this minyan of kohanim, right?
Right.
So and you see it's getting closer to the time of.
I think it's the try.
So if you're obligated here to mishtadel that someone answer amen. So if there are no women and children in the shul, it will be you'll be obligated as an agabai to try and look outside the shul and see if you can get somebody to come in to answer amen. Even if it happens to be women or children, you have some women walking on the street pushing their baby carriage. You have to invite them into shul and say, "Can you please answer amen to our brachas kohanim?"
Is this particularly referring to Shabbos?
No. This is
because usually in the when men are davening in the morning, the streets are clear of children and women.
Well, they would.
That's not a time for men and women, for women and children to be around or even to come to shul.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I don't. They must have had a different lifestyle in those days.
Well, you see a raya from the Yerushalmi that the women came to shul even at the time of the Yerushalmi. The women came to shul and they brought the kids also.
That's amazing.
Right. Oh, so now where Moshe Zali brings a tremendous chiddush. Therefore, since it's now he's applying this to the question he originally was posed, that what if a person's in the middle of Kriya Shema, right? And we know that there's a difference between being in the middle of the paragraphs, the 3 paragraphs of Shema, and being in between the 3
now,
paragraphs.
This is a Yisrael?
Yisrael, yeah.
Now we're back to talking about Israel is in the minion.
Yeah, see what he says. The lechein, therefore, and therefore lechein.
The lechein, therefore, adifa ze afilu me Yisrael.
No, this is me amen yehei shmei rabba. It's adifa afilu amen yehei shmei rabba. A person saying his kaddish being said, right? So there's a very important mitzvah to answer amen yehei shmei rabba to the kaddish, right? Tremendously important mitzvah, right? But this saying amen to the Birkas Kohanim, it's even more advantageous than saying amen yehei shmei rabba to kaddish.
So adifa means more so.
Adifa means it's better, or it's more significant.
Okay, so therefore it's better.
You have some of you might have the health plan. It's called, you have Yuchedet Adif. It's called Adif. Yeah. So it's Adif because there's more. You get more advantages to that policy than the regular policy to the health plan.
Right.
It's called Adif. Why is it Adif? Because you have more advantages. You have more. Probably pay more also, but that's what you get. Hopefully, you get what you pay for.
So it's even better than, or more significant than, saying Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah. De me'acher d'Yisrael, that from his fellow Yisrael, hamid.
The phrase mida'acher here means not other, but it means since. Mida'acher, that since.
That since a Jew, hamid tivarechin, hamizvarechin, when he is blessing.
Well, he's getting the blessing. The Yisrael, meaning the Kohen, is giving the bracha to the Yisrael, right? So since that the Yisrael is getting the bracha, is mizbarachim, he's getting blessed.
He's being blessed, mechiyuvin, from his obligation, lahafsik.
Oh, stop. So since the Yisrael hamizvarachim muchuyavim lahavsik, since therefore that the Yisrael is getting the bracha, muchuyavim, the Yisrael, even if he's in the middle of Kriya Shema, chayiv lahavsik, he's obligated to stop saying the Kriya Shema and answer amen to the Birkas Kohanim.
At any point in Kriya Shema, the point
any point in Kriya Shema. Let's say he's in the, he says Shema Yisrael. He's in the middle of the first pasuk, Shema Yisrael. According to what we're seeing from Rav Moshe at this point, he says Shema Yisrael, and they get up there and start duchening. He has to stop.
Where does it say anything about Shema Yisrael?
That's the. I didn't quote you the whole tshuva, but that's what Rav Moshe is dealing with here.
That was the original question.
Yeah, right. We'll see the next line. He's going to say he's going to write this about that mefurish.
Okay. So when it says the lechein, therefore, it's referring us back to that question about the Shema. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So therefore, it's better even than saying Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah, to say Amen even if you're in the middle of Shema, since when the Yisrael is being blessed, he has a obligation to interrupt. Ulaba neged ha-kohanim. And
stop. You go ahead.
And to come corresponding to the Kohanim.
One of the halachas that we learned is that if a person's, let's say where he davens, he sits in the first row of seats in the Beit Knesset, and let's say the duchen, the platform where the Kohanim is in front, it's projecting in front of where he davens, he's obligated to get out of his seat, stop saying Kriya Shema, and come and face the Kohanim face to face. That's what it means.
Oh.
He's obligated to stop saying Kriya Shema, as you'll see in the last paragraph here, and he's supposed to come and face the Kohanim, come naked. He's supposed to be parallel to the Kohanim.
So does that apply to everybody in the shul?
Yeah, that's right. Now, if you're as long as you're in front of the Kohanim, that's sufficient. You know, some people are makbid that they come and actually stand face to face with the Kohanim, but you're not actually obligated to do that. As long as you're in front of the Kohanim, it's okay, and that's considered that you're included in the bracha. But if a person's going to be situated behind the Kohanim, he will not be included in the bracha.
So if he's in the shul in the area that's in front of the Kohanim, and he's sitting down and saying Shema, and they come up and start duchening, then he has to stop his Shema, stand up, and say Amen?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Ule Shemua, Ule Shemoa, Ule Kabel, Ule Shomea, and the one who hears Ule Kabel and receives Habracha, Kede Have Hamem Bet. The
Mishnah Brura.
The Mishnah Brura Be'or halacha rish hasiman.
Right. As was brought by the Mishnah Brura in the Bir Halacha at the beginning of the Simon. And now he's going to quote, and that Meseifa Chareid. Go to the next paragraph, Meseifa Chareid. Now this tshuva has to deal with the question as to whether or not a Yisrael is obligated to stop and answer Amen to the Birkat Chaim. The original tshuva we started with Rav Moshe was dealing with another shaila. He was dealing with more of the shaila about the women and the children being included in the Birkas Kohanim because they are have to answer Amen. And in that tshuva, it's relevant to if you're building a Beit Knesset, whether or not the Ezras Nashing, the place where the women daven, has to be located in front of where the Kohanim are going to be duchening or not. Because if they are actually part, if the person who's saying Amen to the bracha of the Kohen, if that's an obligation and it's considered part of that mitzvah as well, so then you'd have to be obligated to construct a Ezras Nashing in a way that they're going to be in front of the Kohanim when they're duchening. And if they're not, if the person who's answering Amen is not going to be included in that mitzvah, then it's not necessary that the women be situated in front of the Kohanim. That's the previous Rav Moshe that we're in the middle of. I wanted to go to this tshuva of Rav Moshe.
So that's a raya then. A lot of the shuls, the ladies section was not, behind the men. It was upstairs, and women sat upstairs on the sides even. And so obviously they were, unless they were building, puzzle shuls, those women were permitted to be there.
Right. So upstairs is okay, and on the sides is also okay. The only point that would be is if they were behind the Kohanim, right? Sometimes you'll see that the Ezras Nashim also can sometimes be in back of the Aron HaKodesh as well.
Oh.
So, but in general, you don't see that. But it could be, let's say architecturally it's required to do that. The question is, do you need to have it lichatchila that the women are in front of the Aron Kodesh rather than on the back?
But if let's say they are behind the Kohanim, and they hear the Kohanim make the bracha, they would still be able to say Amen, even if they're not included.
Well, that's a question. If they're able to come, they would have to come in front of them. If it's possible for them to come in front of the Kohanim, they'd have to come in front of the Kohanim. If it's impossible, so it's impossible. It's like the people in the fields.
Okay, but I'm saying, but if it's impossible and they're in the lady section behind the Kohanim, so they should be able to say Amen. They're hearing someone make a bracha and they're saying Amen.
Right. They can definitely say Amen.
So that fulfills the requirement for the women and children to say Amen.
That will depend because if they're able to come in front of the Kohanim, they don't. Right. It could be that they're not included in the Birkas Kohanim anymore. That we saw in the Mishnah Berurah. We'll get
but
back.
You can't have the women leaving the Ezra's Noshim and coming into the men's shul and standing among the men in front of the Kohen. That's not gonna. They're not able to do that.
That's why you're gonna have to spend another $10 million to build the Ezra's Noshim in the right way, Barry. You're gonna have to raise another $10 million. Okay. I'll count on you. All right.
Well, I'll start the fundraising tonight.
Bli neder. Say bli neder.
Bli neder.
Now let's see the last paragraph. Mesefer, this is a quote from that Biur Halacha.
Rabbi, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, I'd like to try and finish it up. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Because it'll be a double shalom if we finish it up.
Okay.
Misaper
Sefer Haredim. The Biur Halacha is quoting the Sefer Haredim.
The Sefer Haredim, Haim Mechiyuvin La'anos Amen.
Midoraisa. Put that last word in.
Midoraisa. So in the Sefer Haredim, they are, I guess it says that they are obligated to answer Amen Midoraisa. They being the women in this case?
No, this is talking about in general the Israeli. The Israeli are obligated Midoraisa to answer Amen.
Okay. Umamela kamo chayuvin afilu kisheniz daman liYisrael.
Yisrael echad, even if it'll happen to
echad. And it follows from this that there is an obligation, even, what is this word? Kisheniz daman.
It will occur to one Jew, even if it'll occur to one particular Jew.
Even it will occur to one particular Jew, Shahu be'emtza kriya Shema, that he is in the middle of saying the Shema, lishmoa baracha birkas kohanim, and he hears the blessing of the kohanim, the duhening, mechiyuv gam la'anos amen. He is obligated also to answer amen. Achar, afterwards, kol bracha, after all of the blessing, aval acher birkas asher kidishnu
Kiddushanu, asher kiddushanu, meaning
asher kiddushanu.
That's the bracha that the Kohanim say before they start the actual Birkas Kohanim.
Oh, okay. So, but after the blessing of Asher Kiddushanu, Ein lo la'anos amen. He does not answer amen. Kishahu be'emsa kriyashma, because he's in the middle of kriyashma. So if he hears them start with the blessing of Asher Kiddushanu, he doesn't stop. But when they finish with all of the Yevarechecha, etc., then he stops and says Amen.
Right, exactly. Okay, very good. Any questions before we sign off for a few minutes till we start the Mishnah Berurah here in about 10 minutes or so?
So just to give a brief summary to make sure I'm understanding this, we said that the answering of Amen is not critical, so that you can have the 10 men go out, the 10 Kohanim go up and duchen to an empty shul, b'di'evid. But
Correct.
nevertheless, the answering of Amen is still relevant. It's not critical, but it's still relevant. It's kind of in an in-between state of significance, such that if you have women and children in the shul and no men, those women and children should say Amen, and that is a deraisa. They're fulfilling a deraisa obligation in doing that.
Correct, that's right.
Wow.
Okay, very good. Lou, very good reading today. Baruch Hashem, you did great.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Yeshikaya.
Okay, very good. So we'll take about 5-10 minute break here. We'll start the Mishnah Berurah. I have a little bit of a shorter Mishnah Berurah here today, but it was worth trying to finish up that chelik of the tshuva for most of it's out. Roy, have a good afternoon. Hope to see you tomorrow. And